We need to make sure that every single square inch of the island has a rodenticide bait. It sounds like a fluoride for rodents. Has the rodenticide bait distributed
for mouse teeth.
Which is the exact opposite of what we want here.
For 4 to 5 mouse doses, dentists choose rodenticide.
Welcome back to Show Me Yours podcast. I'm Jackie Agnew.
I'm Johnny DeVito.
And thanks for tuning in once
Hell
again.
Yes.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, happy Ramadan, happy whatever you're celebrating, chicken parmesan, whatever you're eating. I hope it's delicious. And yeah, if you celebrate, if you don't celebrate anything, then you know what? Happy Monday. Yeah, that's cool too.
Happy day off if you got the day off.
If you got the day off, then yeah. If you don't, then then fuck this capitalist bullshit world that we live in, and and we keep it moving. We're here to entertain you regardless.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys coming on back and spending your Monday morning with us.
Isn't that nice?
It's
you know,
nice.
and if you chose to wait until not Monday morning to listen to
well,
this,
then go fuck yourself.
I was going to say
You
thanks
mean
for checking
nothing
us
to
out
us.
either way. All right, mixed feelings about that, but you know what? It's up to you. It's a choose your own adventure. This is your own life. So, here we are again in a new week. Good things are happening. I achieved redemption.
Yes.
You could say that. Famously lost a roast battle to you, Jackie. I'd say almost about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
A little mountain gallery, famously. Was a little bit outclassed, was a little bit out of my league. You know what I mean, at that time. And, let's say that I barely squeaked a win out this time. So, hey, good for me.
Yeah.
And
next time I'll write new jokes.
Yes, that's. I'm kind of waiting for that. That's good. That's the thing. It's like when you win like a roast battle or like a tournament or whatever. It's pretty cool, but just you want to go up against people that came a little bto more prepared. And let's say that. So, you know what I mean? I think next time when you get a fair shake,
okay,
you're gonna come at the kid. And not only that, I think that that could be said about
right.
The whole operation. So I'm glad that I'm a champion, but I'm not letting anything go to my head.
Oh, you're not?
Nope. The it's the pedal stays to the metal.
Okay.
The nose stays to the grindstone. And regardless of a little bit of success, you can't hang your hat on that. You have to look toward the next battle because warriors be warrior.
Okay. Well, nice.
All right. It's tough because like in any other situation, I'd get a pat on the back, but because I beat you.
I've given you plenty of pats on the
fucking
back.
around.
In fact, I handled it very well. If we want to
did.
rewind the tape to when I beat you.
Everybody will remember. If you don't, I'm an emotional boy. And I don't handle those emotions well all the time. And I mean, I'm learning. I'm learning every day. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? I think I got thrust into life a little bit too quickly, forced to grow up a little bit too fast. So I thought that I was a lot more mature than I am. Find out at 33, I have the emotional, what do you call that? The emotional, age, maybe of like a 4-year-old or something like, you know what I mean? I can throw a temper tantrum, you know what I mean? I can kind of, I can get a little bit, up in my own shit, and I apologize, to you for that.
Okay.
But I'm a passionate man.
Okay. Well, with that behind us,
Fuck me.
Well, okay. Happy Easter, as we said. Everyone is getting in the spirit.
Sure.
And none more so than this guy from Oklahoma, who's really leaning in to the spirit of Easter.
So what we have here is a man in his front yard who has crucified himself, but didn't do it in the way that was done to Jesus. So when you crucify yourself, you're kind of just like, he's grandstanding here, right? He's got a platform that he's standing on.
Yeah.
he has his hands in straps. I think if you really want to make a statement, you get the step stool out of there. You
So
take
the
the
step
stand
stool
out.
is what immediately stood out to me
Yeah.
as well. Is that you can see, I mean, this picture tells a story, right? Because you can very clearly see how this guy, this is a solo venture, right? Like he didn't have anyone helping him out, giving him a boost.
I mean,
Survivor style.
I imagine that he asked, around, like, hey, guys, let's make an event out of this.
Yeah.
And people probably, advised him against it, but nobody stood in his way.
I mean, there is a platform for him to stand on.
This
in
was
the
constructed,
cross
I believe, exactly
for this purpose. So this narrative that I have is that this is this particular cross with this platform on it has perhaps been standing in this little, grass patch outside of the church for quite some time, and no one, has done the Easter thing for a while, and this
Sure.
guy's bringing it back.
Okay, so you're trying to get like a little bit of I mean, I understand that. I think that it's weird, like everything kind of comes in cycles, right? So like I think if like like if the youth are truly going to rebel, then they'll go back to like like a conservative religious or some bullshit or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the pendulum's got to swing. You know what I mean? At some point. So like if that is the case, maybe this man is, he's sitting there and he knows that. It's in the back of everybody's mind. It's but they need a symbol, right? This is a Batman-esque situation, right? They need a symbol, and what they need is a symbol that's not a bald 50-year-old white man that has just I would say lazily kind of put himself onto the cross. If you truly want to be a martyr for your people and you truly want to inspire somebody, then I say you get some 9-inch nails.
Well, that's the thing. He didn't commit to the bit because he's using these straps. And if you really want to pay homage to Easter, then you gotta like go full force. You gotta get some spikes out.
Absolutely. If you're getting crucified, do you go through the hands or through the wrist? Great sense of debate.
Yeah, that is.
Call
you
in.
want to say initially, just because I'm looking at this picture right now, my initial impulse was to say wrist because he's bound by the wrist, but I feel like hands is the move.
I mean, it is what it is. I think I think there's a movie called Stigmata, where it's a super interesting phenomenon where people they just develop the scars of Jesus, which is fascinating. But in the movie, I believe the girl gets the scars on her hands, and that is what the priest is kind of saying.
In the depictions I've seen, it's been palms.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think for historical accuracy speaking, if you were, say I'm a 200-pound 6-foot guy or whatever, I think through the hand you rip off or whatever. I think through the wrist you actually stay up there a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to try it out yourself and come back to us with the results. You know what this also could be though is just an advertisement for this Easter egg hunt that they have signage for.
I love that the Easter egg hunt is going
adds
on
some
at the same
whimsy
time,
to
and
it.
this guy is just over in the corner.
This is like the two sides of the coins to Easter, right? It's like like in David Lynch movies, like if you're watching Twin Peaks or like Blue Velvet, a common theme in David Lynch movies is kind of showing like the idyllic small town, all American, and then you see the seedy underbelly.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of seeing this play out in this picture right here. There's a lot going on here because you see like front, like if you're driving on the highway, the first thing you're going to see is the Easter egg hunt sign, presuming that you're driving towards the sign, right? The first thing you're going to see is this Easter egg hunt. You're like, oh, that's so much fun for the kids. Like, that's what Easter's all about. And then
this looks like a great place to bring our family on a Sunday.
Yeah, and then you might kind of take notice. You're like, oh, what's that step stool doing there? And then you kind of get past the sign, and you're like, oh, this is what Easter is really all about.
Yeah. And then
he
you're like,
is risen.
I'd love if that's your dad, and you're just like, oh, for fuck's sakes, Jim.
Well, so that's the other thing is that, like, this guy's gotta have a wife and kids somewhere being like, is dad fucking really doing that today?
The reason that he's doing this is, you know what I mean, is to harken back to Christian values and where's America gone. I feel like this is the kind of guy, you know what I mean, that has, like, this is his last line of defense, I think, before he shoots everybody in the congregation. He's like, I'm gonna, you know, martyr myself up here for probably maybe 45, 50 minutes. Like, I don't see this guy being up there for that long once he starts to lose blood in his hands and stuff like that.
Yeah,
this is I want to know the
be
duration of his self-imposed crucifixion.
Because, I mean, you see, you're like, that guy was probably up there all day. But in reality, this just could have been a quick photo op.
Yeah, I give him 30 minutes tops, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it's uncomfortable. It sucks. Then when you realize that you're not garnering the support.
Yeah, when there's not like a
going
crowd kind of forming, you know?
Yeah, like the way that they depict Jesus' crucifixion, there was a lot of people there. They were like, oh,
yeah.
no. You know,
what I want to see is like him getting down from this, you know, the solitary, like how does he get how tightly is he bound, you know, does he kind of have to wriggle one wrist free? He's like, fuck, come on, you know?
Yeah.
And
like,
then kind of has to, you know, because he doesn't really look like he's a guy that moves around a lot. So I'm imagining to get from that step from the platform to the first step of the stool, he kind of has to bend down and like ground himself with his hands before he like moves his leg off the fucking platform.
I would love if he only got one hand out and then kind of slipped off the stool, and then it was an arm dislocation thing, so he's kind of hanging there from one hand.
Right.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I also wonder, like, if he's fully resolved and say that this is like a hunger strike situation. Say that this man has a little bit more, you know, I would say like religious, you know, beliefs and mental fortitude than we're giving him credit for. Let's say he does stand up there. Does he shit his pants if he has to?
Well, yeah, exactly. Does he have someone come feed him snacks? You know, a little sip of water. Like,
that's
how
what
dedicated?
they talk about. Like, I think that it's another thing too, right? Like, when somebody dies, they never mention the defecation because you don't want to, like, you know, like, you know, kind of
I feel like it
soil
gets mentioned sometimes.
Yeah, but not if you're telling the story of a friend's death.
Okay,
right?
well,
like,
if you're telling the story of a friend's death, well, if we're just talking about death, I feel like people know bowels are.
I mean, if I'm giving somebody a play-by-play of Jesus' death, the shitting himself on the cross has got to come up at some point.
Oh yeah,
you never hear about
that
it.
would be kind of the first thing you
all
would
in
think.
all in his bloody feet and everything. It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
It's really not. You know what I mean? And I think.
But he was also a malnutritious man.
Well,
malnutritious.
We could only go
malnutrition. Malnourished. He was a malnourished.
Malnourished is what we're looking for.
He was a malnourished
but I'm
man.
tired of hearing about it, right? Because all we
so he
see,
might not have had a lot to empty.
all we see is the depictions of people that have won wars and rewritten history books over the course of 3,000 years. So, like, or 2,000. Sorry, like what we have here with Jesus and all other Abrahamic religions, for that matter, too. More so, it's like turned into, you know what I mean, like a corporation or like a means for control, you know, of, like, of global populace. And what they've also done is inspire crazy Midwestern people to crucify themselves outside of their church on an Easter Sunday, which is infinitely hilarious. But on the, you know, other side of it too, what they've done is they've had enough time to plant whatever image of Jesus that they want in your head. When, like, he's the only white guy in the Middle East 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Interesting.
That's why he was so special. That's why everyone wanted to listen to him.
What if Jesus was a fat Asian guy?
I mean, you're not going to have a lot of followers, you know?
Why not? Have you ever met a fat Asian guy? Those guys are awesome. Hilarious dudes. Shout out to Robert Pang, friend of the podcast. I'm team fat Asian all day.
Okay.
But that being said, you know what I mean? So it's a propaganda machine, much like the 9/11 documentary that we watched today. You know what I mean? A lot of bad decisions made on both sides. So let's get that clear. But a little hoorah for American propaganda, right? So
that's how you want to spend your Easter Sunday, is really delving into a 5-part documentary series of 9/11 and the aftermath.
Never forget, we forgot a bit. And then we had to
forgot a lot,
we had
evidently.
to remind ourselves,
and it was a pretty harsh reminder.
It really was. It's kind of funny that like event or whatever kind of shaped, you know what I mean, what would be like the course of I guess, I don't know, like modern history in the 20th century.
So I mean, like it is kind of a classic example, just because it's obviously such like a big event that affected so many things, and so you can trace so many things back to, like, you know, if 9/11 didn't happen, so and so and so wouldn't happen. And none more so than the fact that if 9/11 didn't happen, then 1 month later, my mom, my parents, and my friends' parents wouldn't have gotten a killer deal on tickets to Disneyland, and I wouldn't have had the trip of a lifetime.
You really have to gauge what the cost of 3,000 innocent American lives are based on your experience meeting Mickey Mouse as a young girl. And really, like, I mean, if you had the opportunity, would you do it again?
I mean, and not to mention, this even brings more weight to it, that very trip was a trip that I watched my first ever Survivor episode. I mean, we all got in a hotel room. I believe it would have had to have been season 3 when they go to Africa.
Life affirming.
I mean, it's the circle of life.
Sure,
you
Lex
know?
and Ethan, fantastic season.
I'm not saying that if I could go, if, you know, there's a man standing in front of 2 doors. Sure. Behind door number 1, it's as though 9/11 never happened. None of those people died. Sure. There wasn't a 20+ year long war in the Middle East.
Everything changes, and Ruben Studdard might not have won American Idol.
Of course, I mean? You know.
Right? Like,
and then behind door number 2, sure. I still go to Disneyland. And a passion for Survivor is still ignited at the young age of 7 years old.
See, now, do you make that decision as a 30-year-old woman, or do you make that decision as a 7-year-old woman?
I'm making the decision right now.
And it's Disneyland every time.
Well, okay, I'm not saying one way or another. It depends on the day, depends on, again, a variety of factors come into the decision. But I'm
you're
saying,
not saying that 9/11
I'm saying no matter what, I'm thinking about it for a second.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're not going to sit here and, say publicly on the internet to live forever that 9/11 is the best thing that ever happened to you. We're not going to say that.
I didn't say that.
We're not going to say that. Like, but there's an argument to be made for it.
That, it brought, in a roundabout way, it sparked a lot of joy.
Do you know what's interesting is that same event, what took you to a path of infinite happiness and wonder, you know what I mean, and like a sense of journey through Survivor and a land of fairy tales, and you know what I mean, all of that that magic that could happen in that same weekend. I found like. I think like a music style that was like pretty aggressive and deliberately like offensive, and coming into comedy at the same time too. I think Jon Stewart was a thing. So like where it opened up like a world of joy and wonder for you, it opened up a world of hate and mistrust in government and any institution or everything. You know what I mean? For me, right? It kind of took me on a different path,
right,
which is interesting. If I'm standing at the door of 9/11 not happening and us being here today, I still go through the door because I'm happy with where I am today, right?
Of course.
I don't want to roll those dice because who knows what would be like. I might be like healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I could be like another doctor in that life. But when I walk through that door, assuming that I would still be me on the other side of that, then I would be incredibly underqualified to do whatever job that I had in that other universe.
Right.
Right? So that's what you got to think about when you're going into a multiple universe situation. You're not just going to assume the shoes that you have and then completely forget about, this all this, information that you've learned.
Well, I mean, if you're in a multi-dimensional Sophie's Choice kind of situation, you have to be prepared to walk away from everything in your life, because if you're looking to change the course of history, like
for sure,
which is much like
this decision is bigger than us, right? Like you have to take us out of the situation, and you have to put it's between you and Mickey Mouse and Jeff Probst, or the lives of 3,000 innocent people.
It's a lot like,
and plus the war too. Like I mean, from that spawned would tens of thousands of deaths. We'll say
the perfect analogy, if you're not getting it yet, would be if you cast your mind back to seasons 41 and 42 of Survivor, where they had a very controversial twist to the game called changing the course of history, in which because now in the new era, of course, you have to compete for the merge. You have to earn the merge.
Yep.
And in seasons 41 and 42, they had this twist in which for the challenge, you had to compete for the merge. You had to draw teams, and one person was left out. That person did not get to compete, and they instead went to Exile Island on their own. But upon arrival on the island, they were presented with an hourglass, and if they smashed that hourglass, then the team who won the challenge and earned the merge, it would be switched so that they were the ones now that had to go to tribal and were not merged. And of course, both times, because if you smash the hourglass, you join that team that has now earned the merge without earning it. So I don't know how much clearer I can make this.
That was a very convoluted. I love that you tried to make that as clear as possible, and anybody that's listening to this is like, we got to realize nobody watches Survivor except for us.
That's not true at all. The numbers are through the roof.
The numbers are through the roof, but we don't have that audience. And what I think
this is how you get them.
I understand that, but for the layman, what we're basically saying is that if you do change the course of history, then you negate all the hard work that was done up to that point or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So you have the opportunity to smash the hourglass, let's say, for just for a little bit of
with the analogy.
Absolutely. You could smash that hourglass and choose to completely leave a life behind, but that's kind of like it's kind of being a bitch. Like, I feel like
I would argue that if you're going to smash the hourglass and undo 9/11 and the aftermath, then that's negligent. Because you don't know, what you're going to, at least, you choose the devil,
You choose the devil that you know, but like it's so interesting that we're having this conversation because this is the only thing like that we're talking about. Right? There's not like a Genie 3 wish situation, right? Like if you could go back and change.
Well, that doesn't make any sense at all because
right?
that's
100%. That would be ludicrous. That would be a ridiculous conversation.
Yeah. That's a completely different conversation.
Absolutely.
We're sticking with the two-door metaphor, multi-universe kind of thing. There's no
100%
genies,
right? So
no
you have to
free
think
wishes.
about that. Not to mention, like, obviously we've covered like significant loss of innocent life all across the world, a complete kind of like militarization of police forces locally and stuff like that. The amount of information that governments can have and steal from you, and see the amount of power that has been given to our elected officials, and the everything that's kind of happened from that, what's transpired in the post in 20 years since that. Does that still happen with technology getting the same way? So as technology goes and data increases and stuff like that, they're still going to find a way to steal it.
Yeah. Anyways, we're probably going to cut a good chunk of that out.
Yeah.
Just so you don't get flagged or anything. We're going to move on to something fun. Well, let's lighten it up a little.
I'm bringing it back to 9/11. All roads lead back to 9/11 today, guys.
All right. So this is very exciting. So this is a story that we've been on for quite a while now. We broke the news to you, and then we provided an update
That we did.
about a year later.
Yep. We're back, baby.
And now we're back for a third update. So you guys all know, as we told you first, the chess scandal
The world's
that
been flipped
rocked
upside
the
down.
world. The anal bead cheating scandal. If you want to do a quick recap of
absolutely,
of that.
yes. There's basically the world of chess had the only interesting news it's ever had since the invention of the game chess. Basically, a top player is facing a lesser seeded opponent, not supposed to win. The underdog wins in a fairy tale situation. Statistically speaking, not supposed to happen. A lot of people start calling bullshit. And to cast aspersions, let's try to crack the code here and think about how somebody would cheat at a high enough level to beat a chess master. Well, obviously, he has anal beads in his butthole,
Naturally,
vibrating in a certain vibrational
that coordinates to a predetermined code that
like
tells
a Morse
him
code
where
situation,
exactly,
which is infinitely fascinating. And also, where do we get this equipment?
Yeah, so St. Louis.
St. Louis. I think if you're going to say St. Louis, then you would be an asshole.
I wasn't going to say it like St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say St. Louis.
Oh, you can find me in St. Louis, where the gunplay rain all day.
St. Louis chess scandal inspires offer of free anal vibrators to level the playing field. WeVibe hopes its free anal stimulation toys will empower chess masters. So this is extremely exciting. The chess world is still feeling the vibrations of the buzziest chess story of 2022.
Are we reading an ad right now?
Which went down in St. Louis and featured one prodigy of the game being accused of cheating via vibrating anal beads in his rectum.
Shout out to, if this is the truth, then Hans Niemann, the 19-year-old accused cheater, 19 at the time, that the game is being played, is if this is true, then he's a personal hero of mine. If it is not true, then he deserves like a Nelson Mandela level apology. Maybe not Mandela level,
but he definitely a public.
Yeah. Sure. He deserves the same apology that guy got for telling people that there were Jewish people tunneling under his apartment in New York.
Yes, the sex toy-centric chess controversy started here when Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen withdrew from the Sinquefield Cup in a coy manner that many interpreted as an accusation of cheating against the person he lost to then 19-year-old Hans Niemann. One thing led to another. Elon Musk escalated the matter via a tweet, and in a classic example of the arc of all things bending toward the weirdest and least plausible explanation, the anal beads rumor inserted themselves into the discourse. The whole thing even spawned a lawsuit filed in federal court in St. Louis by Niemann against Carlsen that was dismissed last summer. Okay.
Niemann versus Carlsen, like he's like, check the elasticity of my asshole. Nothing has ever been put in it.
Though the lawsuit might be dead, the relationship between anal beads and competitive chess now seems permanent, like Cracker Jacks in baseball or domestic beer and the NFL. I was going to say domestic violence.
That's good writing for sure. That's where you take the bit.
That's a typo.
Yeah.
With that in mind, wellness company WeVibe is offering, quote, free anal stimulation toys to all players in next month's World Chess Championship in Toronto.
Now, do you have to reach out?
Drivable distance.
We have to go, but
can we enter but not play?
There's no way that we could go into the World Chess Championships and just walk in and expect a chance to play.
You just act like, no, you enter, of course.
You don't enter the World Chess Championships. The World Chess Championships, you are chosen, I imagine. There's a great... I imagine you have to work very hard to get selected to it. It's like the Masters.
I think it's kind of one of those situations, if you act like you belong, they're going to hand you a fucking a king and a queen and tell you to have at her.
It's not a fucking rave where you show up with a fucking...
Of course it's not a rave. It's the World Chess Championship.
You can't show up with a high visibility vest and a ladder, though, and just walk through the fucking gate.
Yeah, you would be very coif, very polished, probably a slicked back look, a nice fitting pantsuit
I'm gonna
kind
tell you
of
right
thing.
now, I look like a dirtbag. They're gonna see me from a mile away. You with the pantsuit on and glasses, it might get past.
I think so. If I come in, I am carrying my own pieces. I imagine they all have their own pieces. Just I'll have like in a little like bag, probably like a chessboard under my arm, and I'll be like, I'm in game 17.
I think like it's
show me the board.
You show up like a skateboarder, like you need a skateboard. I don't think chess players walk around with their own chessboards on them.
Well, just to practice, like in the corner, like before getting geared, they need to warm up. You can't just go into it. That's like how you get hurt.
Not Neil Peart. You're not going to play a fucking drum solo or anything like that. But
you gotta warm up. You gotta
sure.
fucking, move some pieces. You don't just go into a chess game cold.
Travis Parker has carpal tunnel. I understand it. I get it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need to.
I know what I'm talking about.
I
all right?
get it. How many of the chess pieces do you think? Okay, here's the situation. If you're a chess pro, Do you get custom anal beads in the shape of each individual piece? So it starts with a pawn and it goes all the way
I would
up.
imagine it's like inspired by with
Sure.
some like alterations made, for the use.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I don't think you're gonna like drill a hole in a chess piece and make it yourself out of dental floss like a popcorn.
No,
string
that's not what I
situation.
mean. But I mean, like, I'm sure the shapes are inspired by chess pieces, but maybe not quite exactly, Just
well, you don't want to
for
round
it
out the
to make
rigid edges
sense.
and stuff
Exactly,
like that.
yeah.
I see what you're saying. Sure.
So, as the world watches in anticipation, WeVibe is proud to support the World Chess Championship, the company said in a statement. They said they hope to empower players to make their moves with confidence, both inside and outside the game. The 8-player double round robin style candidates tournament will take place over about 2.5 weeks in Toronto, starting April 3rd. The winner of that will take on defending champion Ding Liren. Ding Ding's a big fan.
Yeah, ding.
Curiously, Carlson has already withdrawn from the affair. No word yet from WeVibe if he still gets a free butt plug.
Oh, he's got it. That Casey,
I mean, like, you want to be at that point. You want to have a laugh at it, You want to have a photo op of him with his arm around Neiman, and they both kind of are holding their butt plugs.
The
And
fact is, like, the way that Magnus Carlsen is treating this whole thing to drop out of an event if Hans is in it and stuff like that, you got to get in front of this. You capitalize on this.
it makes me feel like he knows he fucked up.
Do you remember? Yeah, of course. Do you
Like,
remember Happy Gilmore?
Yes, of course.
Right. The whole thing about Happy Gilmore is that you love Happy so much, but the world of golf is not ready for him. But the world of golf needs to change.
Exactly.
You need to grow with the next generation. The world of chess needs to wake up and sniff the butt plug, because if you don't, get like a new crop into this thing, what you're basically going to have is like the World Championship of Chess. I'm assuming is fucking held in like a VW hall or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't imagine us pulling huge numbers now with a
I'm
star.
imagining like they drain the ice at the Air Canada Centre where the Leafs play for this tournament. It has just as big of a draw.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it's
I
just
think
a bunch
so.
of nerds pack the stands.
Yeah.
I'm there waiting for Hans Niemann, and I want it to like a pin drop moment where you can, everybody's waiting for this move to be made, and then you just hear, then you just hear a little buzz.
So this is going to lead to like an anal bead mic situation where every player has to play with a mic to their asshole.
Baby, you know that this is where this conversation's been leading for 2.5 years, and I'm glad that you said it first. Who's mic in the seats? Who has lav butts?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if every player has to, have, I guess you'd clip it to the taint so you're not sitting on it directly.
I don't think it needs to be clipped to the actual body. It's just like kind of, in the area, because it's going to pick up, any sort of, little like, little buzz, like muffled buzz. Like you go in, you get the audio files onto the computer, you crank that shit up, and you're gonna be able to identify any wrongdoings.
Once you crank that Soldier Boy, you'll be able to you'll know. I mean, I honestly hope that this turns into like a Tour de France situation where you can strip Lance Armstrong of all of the accolades and the awards and discredit the tremendous amount of hard work that he put in to win those events. But once you do that, and for a steroid scandal, you have to go back to like 40th place or whatever to find somebody that doesn't do it. So I think if this ushers in a new age where nobody is playing chess without something inserted into their butthole, then I'm in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would probably get. It might reignite my interest in the game. Famously, I was on the chess team. Famously on the chess team. In the 3rd grade, I think. Honestly, I think they just let me in because I was like getting into trouble or something. They thought this might be like a good, opportunity for me to get off the playground or something like that. And I had some friends in there, and I did have a lot of good fun with the group that I had until I went to an event, and it was very clear that I didn't know how to play chess at all.
Right.
Yeah, and I was pretty embarrassed throughout the course of an 8-hour day. Just getting my ass handed to me by kids that were much younger than me. It was awesome. I guess I was in the 3rd grade, so maybe not much younger than me, but like a kid in grade 1 or whatever came and just cleaned my clock, which is which is awesome. But had I had a vibrating butt plug,
things would have been. It's another thing that alters the course of history.
That's what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's actually a really good way to put it. Had I had a vibrating butt plug, inserted, maybe I would say maybe not kindergarten, but maybe from the first grade, then my life could be drastically different from where it is. But do you listen to advice?
Advice?
Yeah, for me, I'm terrible at taking people's advice because now I'm a little bit better at it, I think. But for my life when I was a kid, everybody would tell me about their situations, and mine was so specifically different. You know what I mean? That I just assumed that like you can't tell me about what I'm going through.
I feel like that's like most
that's everybody,
kids.
right?
Yeah,
for sure, right?
at that
Until
age,
you grow
you're
up
not.
and you look back and you realize, oh, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a completely, you know what I mean? Everybody's got their own fucking story, but essentially the plot is the same, right? That's why all these movies, you know what I mean? The Lion King is, Black
Hamlet.
Panther. Oh, sure. Okay. You went backwards, I went forwards. I like that. But, so I think that's the thing. So if I could go back, who would be in charge of the butt plug? Because that's the thing that they haven't nailed down. That's why the story is just conspiracy, because until you have the Hans Niemann's alleged co-conspirator, somebody has to be feeding him this information.
Well, that's the thing. There's no smoke and plug here, because if where there's a butt plug, there must be a controller, and you would think after 2 years someone would have come forward by now.
100%.
Someone would have known something.
If you don't want to capitalize on the fame that could potentially come from this, like, I mean, okay, so you cheat at the world chess champion.
You know what I would love if someone came forward, even if they're lying, just to keep this story going, and just be like, I'm the person.
Situation?
They come in, they're on the news, and they're blacked out with their voice altered kind of thing.
Sure.
And they're talking about, I would love to see something like that.
I would love if somebody did that. So they come on like a 2020 Barbara Walters, expose situation, right? Yeah. They break the whole thing down, and then it comes out like a hacker looks into it, and he's like, this guy is completely full of shit. He broke down, like the technical aspects of the way that he explained the cheating, and he's like, that's not even how it went down.
The guy just doesn't even. He starts talking about like a checkers kind of thing.
100%.
He was like, I told him to go tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
I don't know anything about checkers.
It was very clear. I would love that, so there's a so you and me infiltrate the World Chess Championship. Somehow they let me play, and you're controlling my butt plug, and I'm sitting there just waiting for a move like king to knights 3 or whatever, and all I'm getting is that king me?
No, I understand chess. I don't know anything about checkers.
I don't know, but this is just a classic case of you know what I mean, the world, holding the sex working man down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's classic sex shaming,
right?
And which is rampant in the chess community.
It has been for
a
long time. Incredibly conservative, incredibly judgmental people. You know what I mean? And I think that's it's reflected in the game itself.
Yeah, right? And Magnus is kind of the figurehead of that wing of chess. That we know there's two competing factions in chess right now. There's the conservative old dogs of Magnus Carlsen, who want to keep chess traditional and conservative.
Yep.
And then there's a new
batch of freaks.
new wave chess that's like progressive. They want to revolutionize the game.
They want to vibrate their butts while
and they're open to new arenas of play, if you will.
Absolutely.
Like this could really revolutionize and evolutionize the game of chess as we know it.
100%.
And it's a very exciting opportunity.
Babe, this is just coming to me now. We've been covering this story for over 2 years, and I'm embarrassed to even bring that up. You know what I mean? As with sexual proclivities or whatever that might be deemed not kosher or whatever, that comes with like a sense of shame or guilt or whatever. You know what I mean? That can kind of follow you around. The sex shaming goes so far, but who's to say that a vibrating butt plug wasn't in play? But if Hans Niemann was just enjoying himself whilst playing chess, what does any of the two things have to do with each other?
Is there
Why
a
can't a
rule?
guy stimulate his prostate and have a great fucking time? You know what I mean?
And checkmate.
And beat the greatest chess player of all time. If that is the case, like there's a great story of a pitcher in the Major League Baseball in the 80s pitched a perfect game on acid. 9 innings, throwing heaters, not one fucking hit off this guy. And he's in the zone while being wrecked out of his mind on acid. It's the greatest sports story of all time. It's one of those great moments of human triumph and conquest under incredible odds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? Imagine the lights, imagine the fans, imagine everybody looking at you. They have the ice drained in the fucking where the Leafs play, for God's sakes, right?
Of course.
Like you're sitting there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hans Niemann, a 19-year-old underdog up against the greatest chess player in the world, arguably, at this time, ranked number 1. And the only thing that's going to calm him down, that's going to help him not have a shaking hand when he moves that pawn out on his first play, is going to be a vibrating butt plug, is going to calm a guy down. And then now he's being shamed for this. Not only shamed for it, accused of cheating.
Yeah.
For enjoying himself.
It's
but
all
there's too
part
much
of
sex
the...
shame. So he can't just come out and admit, like, hey, guys, I was just, having a little vibe while in the finals. Like, I get down like that. I party.
Yeah, it's
right?
all part of the Magnus era of propaganda that, it's kind of one of those things, as we see so often, the old dogs kind of have to die out before finally a new, more progressive realm can take over. And we know, of course, that 19-year-old Hans Niemann will be the spearhead of this movement, and we wish him all the luck.
Yeah, she's in a new era of butt chess that I think needed to be here for a long time, and also it adds visibility, right? So there's a young kid that likes vibrating butt plugs and also chess, right? And he doesn't see somebody like him out there on the screen, so he thinks that he's crazy when in fact now you can see that, and then now, young kids are confident, to move forward and be their true selves.
Exactly.
As vibrating butt plug wearing chess masters, which, can only help.
I want to see Hans Niemann come out, like, butt plugged out. So I want to see, like, he's got his ears, like little stretchers in the shape of butt plugs. I want to see like a chain, with a big golden bug plug. Yeah. And he's wearing merch for this what was it, WeVibe? He's wearing WeVibe merch. Sure. Like, he's taken the partnership and running with it. This is actually a great money making opportunity for Hans Niemann, and I hope he jumps at it.
It would be funny if he got his own bread of butt plugs, but they were like Hans Niemann. This is the sound when it's going in,
right?
But I think I think what we have here could just be the first domino to fall. Like we're saying, we're going to see the pendulum swinging the other way. I hope, and if they can,
the first pawn to
making chess sexy is a difficult thing to do. You thought. Until you introduce vibrating butt plugs into the world that is a complex strategy game of chess. Because if you are trying to develop a complex strategy and in anything, whether it be, war or life or, just the pursuit of happiness, if you're trying to develop a complex strategy and your first move isn't inserting a vibrating butt plug inside you,
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're already 2 steps behind you, and you'll never make it to Russia in the winter.
Exactly.
Fucking Nazis.
So we will, of course, continue to give you updates on this story as it continues to unfold.
For sure.
But you know who we're rooting for, who we're rooting and tooting for.
I'd toot for Hans.
All right, I think you'll like this story.
What do we got going on?
1 million mice are eating seabirds alive on a remote island. So invasive mice.
I've been outed as a bird hater, so I was just like, hey, do you want to hear about bird news? Like this one, I'm open to.
Invasive mice reached Marion Island 200 years ago and could now wipe out seabirds. So conservationists are hatching a plan to kill up to 1 million mice on the remote South Africa island of Marion over fears that the invasive rodents could wipe out the seabirds that live there.
Why don't you put a bunch of cats down there and then they fuck up the birds too, I guess, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, right? Maybe that is their plan. They need to consult with the rat czar of New York and see what they're doing down there.
Well, this is actually interesting because you have a rat czar of New York dealing with an urban population and a completely different issue than what's kind of happening in a more rural or remote island off the coast of South Africa. Fascinating. They should definitely get together and trade notes.
Yeah.
For sure.
They're essentially eating them alive, said Anton Wolfart, a conservation scientist.
Anton Wolfart is hilarious.
A conservation scientist in Cape Town and manager of the Mouse Free Marion Project. The birds just sit there while swarms of mice often will kind of nibble away at them, so these birds have no will to live. The project aims to drop bait laced with rodent poison all over the island in a bid to eradicate every single mouse. Wolfart said the stakes of not intervening are high, but won't the rat poison kill the birds too?
This is a classic situation of once nature takes over and man tries to, change it back, you're going to fuck up. Like, that's the dumbest fucking thing in the world. I think this is
But we don't know. But so clearly these mice are an invasive species. So who's to say humans weren't the one that fucked up and brought them over in the first place?
Oh, 100% is probably a human issue. I'll give you that. There's like, how the fuck did... my mouse didn't swim to that fucking island, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that being said, what happens is you kind of have to let shit run its course because, and I'm saying this probably as a bird hater. This might be a biased opinion. I understand that. But
you just want to see these birds get eaten
I don't
want
to see any of this shit. I don't watch anything. I don't want to see a bird. I don't fuck with a bird. Bird don't watch me. I don't watch a bird. But that being said,
birds are watching you all the time.
I know, and but don't say that. So basically, what you have here in this particular situation are, birds are definitely outnumbered by, a rodent infestation, but they're biting at them. And if they have no will to live, if you would rather live in shit than pick up a shovel, then fucking smell like turds, buddy. Because I don't want to fucking hear about it. This isn't like a, pull yourself up by the bootstrap situation here.
Yeah.
I understand that these seabirds have probably, been relying on this island. I understand that it is a great tragedy, probably of human-handed mistake, that these mice have now infected it. But if you think that I'm going to give a fuck about a bird on an Easter Sunday, you're out of your fucking mind.
You would rather a million mice running around?
They're all God's creatures. What do I give a shit?
But are not birds?
No. Birds are fucking hell spawn from the fucking book. They're an incredibly superior being without needing anything more. If they wanted to, birds could take over tomorrow.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Right? More so than anything else. And I think that I would fear the death from above rather than, you know what I mean, an infestation, rotting, coming from the ground up to attack me. I do personally think that the end for me is going to come in an epic battle
with a bird,
probably golden eagle,
right.
maybe like a swarm of hawks, something like that. But I'm gonna I imagine that I'm gonna have to pay the piper for all the shit that I've talked throughout the years.
Right.
Mind you, they are gonna have to be accountable for the shit that they did to me for me to feel this way about them, right? Like this isn't just hatred from out of nowhere. I don't just hate birds because I'm a fucking psychopath, right? They've wronged me. And you know what I mean? And it's on site.
Sure. So we predict that the majority of the seabirds on Marion Island, including the wandering albatross, will become locally extinct in the next 30 to 100 years if the mice are not removed, he told The Current's Matt Galloway. Marion is a windswept volcanic island in the Indian Ocean, about 2,000 kilometers southeast of Cape Town. The island is designated as a special nature reserve, with Wolfart describing it as a haven for the albatrosses, petrels, penguins, and seals that hunt on the sub-Antarctic waves but come ashore to breed and molt. Mice first hitched a ride to Marion on seal hunting boats about 200 years ago, but in recent decades their population has ballooned up to 1 million rodents at high season. Wolfart said that spike is driven by climate change. Warmer and drier conditions extend the mice's breeding window. The mice have learned to attack where a bird's plumage is thinnest, usually at the head. Oh, to more easily reach the soft tissue. That is terrifying. Photographs taken on Marion show birds with bloodied wounds on their heads and necks, sometimes with mice nibbling away at the live bird in behavior that scientists have called scalping. These mice are scalping albatross birds? That's fucking insane. Mice are terrifying.
I have a soft spot in my heart for an albatross because everybody knows Johnny Ace has a hole in one in golf, but an albatross is harder to hit. Essentially,
right.
I think it's like a fucking par 5 and 2 swings or some shit like that. It's like it's
very
insane.
Specific.
Yeah, it's hard to do. There's only like a few people that have well, I mean,
why are all the golf terminology bird related?
I have no idea. I don't really know a whole lot about the history of golf. I just know that I'm like evolving into
your golf era.
My golf era. It's happening, and I'm coming to terms with it and trying not to be elitist about it. You'll see me at the pitch and putt local course, sneaking on for free. But what I mean, I understand that I still have a heart. Okay, this is a comedy show here, so I can tell for the sake of the comedic relief, I'll say that every bird can go fuck itself, but I do think that zombie mice going brain first, eating anything, kind of sucks.
It's pretty fucking terrifying.
I mean, I can empathize.
Like that's fucking because they're not going to stop at birds, and these mice are now going to be strengthened by all these fucking birds they're feasting on. Albatross, famously big bird, so they're getting a lot of fucking protein this way. So where do they go next? Now they have a taste for the flesh. They're moving up, and birds is already like a bird you'd think would be the hardest thing to target because they can just up and fly away.
That's interesting. Like, I think that like a bird is dumb in this situation because an albatross is using this island to rest before it goes out and hunts at sea, right? But if you're going to eat a fish, you could potentially get the same protein and shit from a mouse, like a hawk or an eagle, or other birds eat mice. So if these birds can't adapt and eat the fucking things that are eating them when they're going out and hunting similar sized prey, they're fucking dumb.
It says they're targeting younger birds because they can't yet fly away.
Well, that's
these
awful.
Mice are deranged.
Yeah.
Eventually, the birds become so fatigued that they will eventually die, or will die due to some kind of bacterial infection.
Yeah, from having your
There's
brain
a pretty
eaten
horrific photo. The Marion project will involve a fleet of helicopters dropping poison along precise overlapping routes across the island. The approach has worked in eradication programs on smaller islands, but Wolfhard said the size and the topographic complexity of Marion presents unique challenges. That complexity means that plan likely won't be ready to go until 2027.
You need, like, if you're going to just sprinkle poison all over the island, you're going to kill a lot of stuff. Guaranteed. But
yeah, exactly.
If you're going to completely eradicate mice from the island, what you're doing is just slowing the process because they'll fuck again and they'll reproduce. And,
that's why you have to get them all, right?
Well, that's the thing. So, you need a Rambo situation. You need boots on the ground, I think, for this. And I think that introducing cats to the island,
cats definitely should be brought in. But if they're going full force with this, with the poison, then cats cannot be anywhere near this.
Good point. Yeah.
Quote, we need to make sure that every single square inch of the island has the rodenticide bait. It sounds like fluoride for rodents. Has the rodenticide bait distributed
for mouse teeth?
Which is the exact opposite of what we want here.
The 4 to 5 mouse does. Dentists choose rodenticide.
So we need to make sure that every single square inch of the island has the rodenticide bait distributed across it so that we ensure that every mouse consumes a lethal dose. So they're basically doing like napalming this island, a blanket of fucking rodenticide.
I mean, the stories of Agent Orange come to mind here. Like, this sounds like an apocalyptic event.
Yeah.
I wonder how many mice. Like, if it was like, nah, never mind. That seems to be silly. Because isn't that like becomes incestuous at some point or whatever? Like, if 5 mice got off a boat or whatever, and then now that's.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're fucking cousins, brothers, sisters. I don't think that they really draw I don't think there's any mouse laws in place. I would have to look it up.
Well, mouse are famously white trash and have been for years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the birds, to your point, the birds would get temporary respite if most but not all of the mice are eradicated, he noted, but that could be short-lived. Mice can have 4 or 5 litters a year with 6 to 8 babies per litter. So that's why they have to be fucking thorough with this. So I suggest...
You also just can't do it once and come back. You got to fucking... You're gonna
well,
have to
I think
blanket
it's
this
going to
thing,
be a multi-pronged approach. So... my suggestion, and it goes on. I mean, this is a very detailed
Jesus Christ.
eradication plan.
Basically,
a cautionary tale of cats. Okay, well, we'll touch on this.
Okay.
Back in Cape
Well, if they
Town-
don't introduce this, I'm sorry, but like what it is kind of harkening back to is a U.S. approach on the war on terror. Is basically
Right,
what
exactly,
you're doing here, right?
yeah.
Like you're kind of setting yourself up for years of war. You know what I mean? With this,
Right.
with a problem that you might not understand.
So back in Cape Town, Wolfhart pointed to a previous eradication program on Marion Island. Scientists brought 5 cats to the island in the 1940s to deal with the mice at the research station. Those unneutered cats quickly multiplied and began feeding on the birds.
I'm telling you, man, these birds need to adapt.
And
right?
then they had to eradicate the cats. Okay, we don't like that. Exactly. Keep the cats out of it for this time around, guys.
That is fucking hilarious.
So they've clearly thought of everything. All the points that we've brought up have been covered, and we have thought about this extensively. And I don't think we've missed anything here.
Well, we've been environmental, researchers and professionals on the topic, experts. I would say, for a long time now. So anytime that you have an ecology problem, especially in South Africa, you can refer to us.
Yeah. So what I would recommend, because I know Wolfart's listening, is that so you do the blanket, the napalming of the island with the rodenticide.
Yeah.
And then you go in, to your point, with an additional squad of rat Rambos, mouse Rambos, to hunt. And this is a thorough job. This isn't for the light of heart. This is for someone with experience. Okay, they go in, and after the dust of the rodenticide has settled, then they go search through every fucking nook and cranny and make sure there's not a single living mouse on that island. That is the only way, because you need someone personally to confirm every single kill.
That's what I'm wondering here is how important are these fucking birds? Okay, let's come back to this, right? That's what I'm trying to say right now. Okay, so if this whole thing is we're using government time and money and resources to take care of a problem to save an albatross population, some penguins or whatever, right? So there's definitely a thriving ecosystem on this island, and I'll give them that. Now, to get rid and do this carpet bombing of rodenticide here that these mouses are going to clean their teeth with and then die violently.
Yeah.
If that's going to happen, and then you have to send like a suicide squad of cats essentially because they have to go in and eradicate that situation.
No, we're keeping the cat. We don't want to risk any cat lives.
Well, no,
here.
but like you said, there needs to be boots on the ground.
Cat-like people, perhaps.
You could
People from the movie Cats.
get the cast of Cats. Idris Elba.
Not the musical. We want the movie.
Yeah,
Cats.
we want the movie Cats. We need Idris. Idris is the only guy. We need Stringer Bell from The Wire to get to this island and eradicate these cats eradicate these mice. Because if you send that suicide squad of cats in there, essentially, they're going to, be lost in the shit. Right? It's going to be a Vietnam situation where you're not going to be able to pull these cats, away from this island, all the blood that they've seen. And
I'm imagining helicopters with the ladders down. And they get up and they're all like, they're musical about it, and they're like exiting stage left, like holding on to the ladder with one hand and kind of like, ah.
This is the perfect example of the differences between us, because I'm picturing Apocalypse Now. CCR is playing. These cats have sunglasses on. There's one cat shaving like the Predator. They're fucking just trying to relax himself, just dry shaving with a Bic razor. I think that
who am I thinking of? Cats movie cast. That was.
I only remember Idris from it, but like it was haunting. I was working at film school while it was coming out, so everybody talked shit about James Corden.
Yeah, I think that's who I was imagining, because there was that fucking photo of James Corden that I think was going around on the internet, and that's what I'm imagining, like James Corden, as a cat.
fucking horrific.
And he's fucking bounding around the island,
If James Corden was on a suicide squad of cats, I would allow it to happen so that he could die at the end of the mission and we could just all go on and live with our lives. Judi Dench, also famously in Cats. Do you think ever in her life, Judi Dench, somebody tried to blame a fart on Judi Dench in school and called her Judy Stench?
Probably, I'm
like,
sure.
If you didn't, she's M from the James Bond movies, which is like so I have a famous soft spot in my heart for her, but I've always thought that Judy Stench was childish and below me, but I decided to say it now.
Taylor Swift was in that. Man, all these people actually did a pretty good job of burying this from their resumes, because we all know Cats was like a horrible flub. I didn't hear a single good thing about that movie.
Yeah, I don't sing or dance or
like
anything, but I would take that payday. They could fucking put.
But they had like a pretty good cast here, and I don't like. It's not like it destroyed their careers by any means. Jason Derulo, okay. But anyways, yeah. So that is our official recommendation to eradicate these zombie mice.
Yeah, if you're going to go for brain first, the people are going to come for you. So this is a message to any mice out there that are thinking of investing and taking over an island. Don't eat the thing brain first, because humans are going to get scared and start dropping pesticide out of a helicopter on you. And I think that actually advice goes to most of our audience, too.
Yeah,
I think that's a lesson that everybody can learn from.
Exactly. Yeah. Save these birds, and we have a foolproof plan.
We have a foolproof plan. What you need is a vibrating butt plug and James
that
Corden
goes
dressed
without
as a
saying.
cat.
That's going to be in the cast of Cats. Will all have vibrating butt plugs. How else will they get their commands?
Well, that's true. Right?
From
like
their
nobody says line anymore. You know what I mean? If you're on set and trying to get it, it's all responded through Morse code type vibrations and butt plugs.
I mean, we're seeing the evolution of language itself, really.
It honestly, in 5 years, nobody's going to speak anymore, right? Like, we're going to be able to communicate strictly through vibrating butt plugs, you know what I mean, and how they can, communicate with each other. And I think that's when we're going to, truly understand each other as people.
Exactly. So what album did we bring?
We do
today?
music here. Okay, yeah. We do. We do talk about music, and
we always talk.
I am very excited to do this in a this is a recommendation moment of the show, and I can't speak high enough about this group. They're called the Doppelgangaz, and they are a fantastic rap group that doesn't take themselves too seriously and has an absolutely impressive body of work. Not nobody's talking about them on the hip hop charts. They're not Drake and J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar beefing with each other when they're all releasing albums this week to try to bump their numbers up. None of that bullshit. Basically, what you have here is kids that are incredibly funny, are incredibly talented, produce their own records, independently put out their own records. They have 14 albums released. I would think 6 or 7 of those are all instrumental. So if you like to chill to really good low kind of hip hop beats that if you like good underground hip hop, then yes. If you're into a little bit more like commercial stuff, then this might not necessarily be into you. But if you are into fantastic lyricism, fun innuendos, two best friends having a good time on a record and making incredible music, then check out their first album is the one that I'm recommending, 2012, The New Beginning. Again, independently released, and it went on to spark that record came out in 2009, and they put out their most recent record in 2023. So if you're looking for if you're thinking to yourself, man, rap music isn't really doing it for me or whatever, or I miss that old way, there's some kids that did this in like 2009 until now that are still putting out this kind of stuff. So
nice.
I would say that what's popular right now is supposed to be, and I don't get it, and I'm not supposed to. I'm 33. I'm fucking. These kids go do your fucking thing. So I like something to sound the way that I like it to sound, and this sounds the way that I feel like you know what I mean. It is supposed to be done. So don't take yourself too seriously. Do a lot of fun raps about getting laid with your friend.
Nice.
Hell yes.
Yeah, I think that's all. I can't think of any shows off the top of my head to plug. And
No, if you're in the Montreal area, come to a casino next Wednesday.
there we go.
I'll be there. It'll be fun.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.